It was a hard solve, boys. Should we do this?
Yeah, let's do this.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for coming. I'm Eric Rozak with CALPIA, and my job this morning is to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. So with great pleasure, I give you CALPIA's General Manager and Executive Officer of the Prison Industry Board, Mr. Charles Patillo.
Hi, good morning, everybody. As Eric said, my name is Chuck Patillo. I'm the General Manager of the California Prison Industry Authority, and I'm also the Executive Officer of the Prison Industry Board. I want to welcome all our distinguished guests that are here. And on behalf of the Prison Industry Board, I'd also like to welcome you. And with me today is my newest Prison Industry Board member, is Michelle Steeb, who is joining us, and this is the first time that she's ever seen this location. Michelle, if you can raise your hand. So, another person out here, Senator Sterling is one of the authors of the legislation that created CalPIA in 1983 when they were reconstituted from the California Correctional Industries Program. And also with me is Warden Gary Sandor. I think everybody knows our primary function is to increase the safety of our prisons by offering programs and jobs for inmates that will reduce recidivism, but it's really a calming effect on the prison. Anybody who's been around PIA or an institution that has PIA realizes that the effect that PIA has just on calming the prison. PIA also has the lowest recidivism rate of any program within the California Department of Corrections. However, this program is the lowest recidivism rate of any program in PIA as well as the United States of America. I think PIA, most people know us by the products we make. I think everybody knows we make license plates and we make furniture, we make modular furniture. But our number one product is folks that never come back to prison. And that's, I think, the most important product of all. We like to say quality products and change lives in a safer California, and that's our mission and purpose. We clearly don't do this by ourselves. I think folks like you out here obviously help with our mission, and you decided to participate and do the hard work. You know, the big difference between you guys here and a couple other, like Fernando and a few other of you that are dive specialists, is you just accomplished something that I'd say a majority of us in the room can't do. I've seen how hard your training is. It's incredible, and very few people in the world can do what you just did. So let's give yourselves a hand for what you've just gone through. Over 95% of the graduates that come out of here will never come back to prison, so there's about 0.4 of you that may come back to prison, but we're not going to see that happen. And I always like to say, you know, you guys would see me down here enough, and I really do. I love you guys. I love you, but I love you enough that I never want to see you again. So can you make me that promise that you'll never come back again? Correct? Okay. Each of you that doesn't come back, it's about $42,000 a year. So the class that's standing in front of me right now is a $550,000 general fund savings to the state of California. That's nearly double what it cost me to run this program. So this is a money saver. So we should be replicating this program all throughout the state. The savings don't include court costs, police costs. It doesn't cost the cost of the families. And, you know, I mentioned the hard work that you do and the commitment that you've done, but I want to be very frank. I, you, me, we all owe our success in this program to one person, and it's Leonard Greenstone. And this dive program was renamed the Leonard Greenstone Marine Technology Training Center a couple years ago in honor of all the work that Mr. Greenstone has done for over 50 years. And unfortunately, Mr. Greenstone can't be with us today because he's ill. But without him, none of us would be where, including me, wouldn't be where we're at today. And so, you know, take time when you're through here, drop him a note. You know how to reach him. Say thank you for a job well done that he's done for you. I did talk with him just the other day, and he wanted to say that he's deeply proud of every one of you. and you can repay his generosity by being good husbands, being good sons, being good fathers, and of course, never coming back here again. I'd like to recognize some people for their support of CALPIA. I'm sorry, I'm using some notes here because I think my mind is going. Secretary Matt Cate, who is chair of our board and is a big supporter of this program. MTTC founder Leonard Greenstone. Warden Gary Sandor. I'd like to also recognize here today is Felix Figueroa and Captain Mark Braley from CIW. Jeff Powers, your instructor. Mr. J, of course, Fred Johnson. Desiree Monterez, Joshua Bayer. Our operations manager, Scott Walker. We've got a couple correctional counselors here that are here today, and as you guys understand, that correctional counselor is your link to the outside. So, make sure that you are working with your correctional counselor. Balon, Ledford, and Negretti, CC1s. So thank you guys for coming out. Our keynote speaker today is former Senator Larry Sterling, a Judge Larry Sterling, Assemblyman Larry Sterling, and he's actually one of the authors of the legislation that reconstituted PIA, as I mentioned. He's a longtime friend of Mr. Greenstone's and an incredible supporter of CalPIA and a good friend of mine. He served as a company commander in the United States Army in Korea from 1967 to 68 and later graduated from San Diego State University and the Western States School of Law. He was elected to San Diego City Council, California State Assembly, California State Senate, and before he was appointed by George Deukmejian, governor, at the position of judge. He has a strong history in public administration, and he's an author of several books, which are very good. Leading at a higher level is one of the books which I just recently read that Larry authored. During his time in the legislature, he successfully carried over 100 pieces of legislation, including several which authorized prison industries or helped us expand. So with that, if I can introduce Judge Larry Sterling.
Good morning, graduates, and congratulations to you, and to friends and family of the graduates, congratulations to you for your support and your love during their program here. I come today only to represent Mr. Greenstone, who is ill at home and not able to make it, and it doesn't look very good for him ever to be able to make it again. And so he asked me specifically this weekend in the hospital to come here today and to address the graduates and to thank them for their incredible courage and strength and self-discipline to get through the program. And he said, but I want you to understand this. I want you to be more than good divers. I want you to be good citizens in the future. So that was his prayer for you. For those of you who don't know much about Mr. Greenstone, he is a he's a native Los Angelino. But as a young man, as a plumber, he joined the United States Navy just before the Pearl Harbor attack and was sent to Pearl Harbor as a cook. And I wouldn't eat anything he cooked because that's not his great skill. His great skill is other courageous things. But while he was in Pearl Harbor, one of the officers there discovered that he had been a plumber. And so they needed him on the dive rafts that were supporting the hard hat divers that went down into Pearl Harbor underwater to save the guys that were trapped in the ships that had been bombed there. And they were able to save a bunch of them, but a bunch of others they were not able to. And then their job, of course, was to clear out the harbor so that the rest of the war of Pearl Harbor would be usable by the U.S. Navy. During his time there, he did several combat invasions of various areas of New Guinea, has several combat stars in his decorations, but he was one of the original guys who went on the beach at night to clear out any obstruction so that the next day when the Marines of the Army hit the beach, that there would be less obstruction. Can you imagine going in the night before in the dark in a combat zone and trying to clean out those beaches? Well, that's the kind of guy he was. But you may also not know how he got involved in the prison industry program. As a young man, he and his wife visited San Francisco, and with their yacht, of course, and they needed to buy some groceries, and the grocery store would not approve Mrs. Greenstone's check in those days unless she had a local somebody locally to corroborate from. Well, the closest friend they had was a cousin who worked at the Folsom Prison, and so, San Quentin Prison. And so they had to call him, and he, of course, invited him up for dinner on the prison grounds that night. And there was a showdown over in the death row. And one of the death row inmates saved a correctional officer from being killed. And Leonard said, from that example, I got the idea that a bunch of these guys in here deserved our help. And so he helped start the Prison Industry Authority out of the trunk of his car and with his own money. And he's been, I think, the longest-serving volunteer in the state of California. 50 years he's been volunteering on the Prison Industry Board in order to make life better for inmates and give them a chance at a better life as he goes out. This last weekend, I was able to conduct the marriage ceremony where he married the woman of his dreams who he's been close to for the last 5 years, and it was a very touching event. But the final word from Leonard to you is thank you, congratulations, and have a great life. Thanks a lot, you guys.